As Chioma tried to navigate her new path, the allure of casual encounters began to wane. Although she still enjoyed her newfound friendships and occasional outings, the emptiness that lingered after each fleeting connection became harder to ignore. Despite her resolve to find balance, the pressures of her past and present began to weigh heavily on her heart. One fateful night, she received an invitation to a lavish party hosted by one of the new Lagos girls. The venue was a sprawling penthouse overlooking the city, and the promise of glitz and glamour was hard to resist. Chioma dressed in a stunning red dress that accentuated her curves, her excitement momentarily overshadowing her lingering doubts. As she arrived, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Laughter echoed against the walls, and drinks flowed freely. Chioma felt a thrill as she stepped into the vibrant scene, the music pulsing through her veins. But as the night progressed, she found herself feeling increasingly disconnected. Conversations around her felt superficial, and the relentless pursuit of pleasure left her feeling hollow. In a moment of impulsivity, Chioma decided to let go of her reservations. She joined a group of girls dancing wildly on the rooftop terrace, the city lights twinkling beneath them. Amid the chaos, she met a man named Dami, a charismatic DJ who caught her attention with his charm and magnetic energy. Their chemistry was immediate, and as the night wore on, they gravitated toward one another, exchanging flirty glances and laughter. Chioma felt a rush of excitement, and for a moment, she forgot her worries. When Dami suggested they continue the night at his place, Chioma found herself saying yes, seduced by the thrill of spontaneity. Arriving at his apartment, the air was thick with tension and desire. As they entered, Dami put on some music, filling the space with pulsating beats. They danced, lost in the moment, the world outside fading away. But as the night wore on and their attraction intensified, Chioma felt a familiar pang of anxiety creeping in. "Are you okay?" Dami asked, noticing her hesitance. His voice was soft, but Chioma couldn't shake the feeling that she was crossing a line she wasn't ready to. I need to think," she replied, stepping back. The whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her was overwhelming. In that moment, memories of Kola flooded her mind, the love she had thought was real, the betrayal that shattered her trust. She realized she was on the verge of repeating the same mistakes, losing herself in a moment that felt dangerously close to emptiness. Dami's expression shifted, concern etched across his handsome face. "I get it. This is all new and fast. We don't have to rush anything." His understanding gave Chioma pause. "Maybe we should just take it slow," she said, her voice steadying. "I'm not in the right headspace for this." As they talked, a wave of relief washed over her. It was refreshing to be honest, to acknowledge her feelings. But just as she thought she could step away from the chaos, the situation spiraled out of control. A knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Chioma froze, heart racing as Dami opened the door to reveal a woman standing there, her face etched with shock. "Dami? What's going on?" she asked, her voice filled with confusion. The world around Chioma seemed to shatter. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. This was another woman, perhaps the woman Dami was involved with. Her heart sank as she took in the scene, feeling the all-too-familiar sting of betrayal. "Who is she?" the woman demanded, her eyes darting between Dami and Chioma, disbelief mingling with anger. "This is Chioma," Dami replied, glancing nervously at Chioma, who felt her cheeks burn with humiliation. "We were just..." "Just what?" the woman snapped. "Just having a good time." "You're unbelievable, Dami." Chioma felt her throat tighten as the reality of the situation crashed over her. She hadn't just walked into an awkward moment, she had unknowingly stepped into someone else's heartbreak. In an instant, she felt the cold grip of shame and regret as she turned to leave. "I'm so sorry," Chioma mumbled, her voice barely above a whisper. As she rushed past the women, tears streamed down her face, and she stepped out into the cool night air. The city that had once felt full of promise now loomed dark and foreboding. The night air was sharp against her skin as she walked, her heart heavy with disappointment and sadness. The emotional fallout from her encounter with Kola was still fresh, and now she was faced with another reminder of the pitfalls of her reckless pursuit of freedom. Alone on the streets of Lagos, Chioma felt the familiar ache of isolation creep back in. How could she have let herself fall into this cycle again? Each choice she made felt like a step away from the person she wanted to be. Days passed, and Chioma struggled to shake the events of that night from her mind. She felt trapped in a cycle of disappointment, haunted by the ghosts of her past and the realization that she had strayed far from her values. Her friends tried to lift her spirits, but Chioma found it hard to shake the weight of her experiences. Then came the evening she received a call from Tolu, inviting her to join a small gathering at her apartment. "It's just a few close friends. We'll have some food, and I promise it will be relaxing," Tolu insisted, her tone warm and reassuring. Reluctantly, Chioma agreed, hoping that some companionship would provide a much-needed distraction. Arriving at Tolu's, she was welcomed by familiar faces and a comforting atmosphere. As the evening unfolded, they shared laughter and stories, but Chioma couldn't help but feel like an outsider, lost in her own thoughts. As the night progressed, Chioma found herself seated on the balcony with Tolu, the city lights twinkling below. "You've been distant, Chioma. What's going on?" Tolu asked, concern etched on her face. Taking a deep breath, Chioma opened up, sharing the pain of her recent experiences. She spoke of Kola's betrayal, the challenges she faced in the world of casual dating, and the deep-seated fear of being alone. "I just feel so lost," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I thought I could escape my past, but I keep falling into the same traps." Tolu listened intently, her eyes filled with empathy. "It's okay to feel lost. It means you're human. But you need to remember that you're stronger than you think. You're not defined by your past choices." Chioma felt a glimmer of hope in Tolu's words. She realized that this journey was not just about finding love or escaping her past but about reclaiming her identity and purpose. She needed to forgive herself for the missteps and understand that healing takes time. In the weeks that followed, Chioma focused on self-care and reflection. She distanced herself from the hookup culture that had once captivated her, choosing instead to invest in her passions and goals. She took up painting again, rediscovering the joy of expressing herself through art. As she poured her heart into her canvases, she began to feel the weight of her sorrow lift. Each brushstroke was a step toward healing, a reminder that she had the power to shape her future. Finally, in the stillness of one quiet evening, Chioma sat back and admired her work, a vibrant piece filled with colors that reflected her journey. She felt a surge of gratitude for the struggles that had shaped her, for the lessons learned along the way. As she looked at the canvas, Chioma knew she was ready to embrace the possibilities ahead. The journey to happiness was not a straight path, but she was willing to navigate its twists and turns, armed with newfound strength and resilience. With her heart open and her spirit renewed, Chioma felt ready to face whatever came next. The transformation in Chioma's life began to manifest in unexpected ways. As she dedicated herself to painting, her creativity blossomed, and she started sharing her work on social media. To her surprise, people began to take notice. Comments flowed in, praising her talent and inviting her to participate in local art exhibitions. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of purpose and belonging. One rainy afternoon, as she was wrapping up a new piece titled Resilience, Chioma received a message from an old university friend, Ao. He had seen her artwork online and was impressed. "You have a gift, Chioma. There's an art fair next month in Lekki, and I think you should showcase your work. It could be a great opportunity," he wrote. Her heart raced at the thought. A part of her felt unworthy, but she pushed those feelings aside. "Yes, I'll do it," she replied, the excitement bubbling within her. This was the kind of opportunity she had been waiting for, a chance to reclaim her identity and share her story through her art. In the weeks leading up to the art fair, Chioma worked tirelessly, channeling her emotions onto the canvas. Each piece she created told a story of struggle, hope, and transformation. She found herself lost in the rhythm of painting, often forgetting the passage of time as she poured her soul into each brushstroke. On the day of the art fair, Chioma stood nervously at her booth, surrounded by vibrant colors and her heart on display. The venue buzzed with energy, artists showcasing their work while art enthusiasts wandered from stall to stall. She couldn't shake her anxiety. What if no one liked her pieces? What if she made a fool of herself? As people began to approach her booth, Chioma forced herself to smile. An elderly woman stopped in front of her painting, Echoes of My Past, which depicted a woman standing strong against a storm. The woman's eyes glistened with tears as she spoke. "This resonates with me. It's beautiful," she said, her voice trembling. "You've captured something profound." Chioma felt a surge of warmth. "Thank you. It means a lot to hear that," she replied, her heart swelling with pride. As the day went on, more visitors stopped by, offering compliments and sharing their own stories. Chioma realized her art was touching people in ways she had never anticipated, and with each positive interaction, her confidence grew. By the end of the fair, she sold several pieces and collected numerous contacts from interested buyers and gallery owners. One in particular, a charismatic gallery curator named Bayo, expressed interest in featuring her work in an upcoming exhibition. "Your pieces tell a story, and I believe they deserve to be seen by a wider audience," he said, his enthusiasm contagious. As Chioma left the fair that evening, a sense of fulfillment washed over her. She had stepped out of her comfort zone and embraced her passions, and it was paying off. The road to recovery had not been easy, but each challenge had forged her into the woman she was becoming, resilient and unafraid. With newfound momentum, Chioma dedicated herself to building her art career. She signed up for workshops, connected with other artists, and explored different styles and mediums. As her network expanded, she met women who shared her experiences, each one inspiring her to push further and embrace her creativity. But with the highs came moments of self-doubt. Chioma would often find herself reflecting on her past choices and the heartbreaks she had endured. Late one night, as she stared at her unfinished canvas, she felt a pang of sadness. "Will I ever find the love I'm looking for?" she wondered, her heart heavy with uncertainty. Just as she was about to close her studio for the night, her phone buzzed with a message from Emeka, a friend of Ao's who had always shown interest in Chioma's work. They had met briefly at university, and while Chioma remembered him as kind and funny, she never thought much of their interactions. "Hey, Chioma. I saw your pieces at the art fair today. They're amazing. We should catch up sometime," he wrote. Her heart fluttered at the thought. They began chatting, sharing stories of their journeys since university. Emeka was warm and engaging, effortlessly drawing Chioma out of her shell. He listened intently as she spoke about her struggles, her dreams, and her newfound passion for art. "Let's meet for coffee," he suggested, and Chioma felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She hadn't been on a date since her breakup with Kola, and the thought of opening her heart again was both thrilling and terrifying. The day of their coffee date arrived, and Chioma chose a cozy cafe in Lekki. As she walked in, she spotted Emeka at a table, his bright smile lighting up the room. They spent hours talking, laughter echoing between them as they shared stories of their university days, their struggles, and their aspirations. "Your art is such an inspiration," Emeka said, his eyes shining with admiration. "I can see how passionate you are, and it's beautiful to witness." Chioma felt herself blush. Emeka's encouragement ignited a spark within her, and she found herself opening up about her journey in a way she hadn't with anyone else. As they parted ways, she felt a sense of hope stirring in her heart, a feeling that perhaps she was ready to embrace love again, not as an escape, but as a partnership grounded in mutual respect and understanding. In the following weeks, Chioma and Emeka continued to see each other. Their connection deepened as they explored the city together, attending art exhibitions, enjoying street food, and sharing their dreams. Emeka became her greatest supporter, often encouraging her to take on bigger challenges in her art career. "Have you thought about applying for the Lagos Art Festival?" he asked one evening, as they enjoyed dinner at a local restaurant. "I'm not sure," Chioma replied, hesitantly. "What if my work isn't good enough?" "Your work is more than good enough. You have a unique voice, and people need to see it. Trust yourself," he urged, his sincerity bolstering her confidence. With Emeka's encouragement, Chioma submitted her application for the festival, pouring her heart into her pieces. As the days passed, she found herself dreaming bigger, her artistic visions growing bolder. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. Chioma stood nervously at her booth, surrounded by other talented artists. But as she looked at her artwork, vibrant, powerful, and a reflection of her journey, she felt a wave of confidence wash over her. She was ready to embrace this moment, ready to share her story. The festival was a whirlwind of creativity and inspiration. Chioma received an outpouring of support, with visitors captivated by her work. As the day progressed, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was what she had been searching for, a way to connect with others and tell her story through art. As the festival drew to a close, Chioma was approached by a prominent art collector who expressed interest in purchasing several of her pieces for his private collection. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Chioma couldn't help but think about how far she had come. The road had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had led her to this moment of triumph. Later that night, she celebrated with Emeka, who had been by her side throughout the day, cheering her on. As they shared laughter and joy over dinner, Chioma felt a warmth blossoming within her, a feeling that perhaps, against all odds, she was finally stepping into her happiness.